this because it. So welcome everybody to our lab meeting, or actually our class meeting. It's not our lab meeting this week. But if you're having trouble with the commands and where they need to be in terms of what particular mode they're in, I like to create myself a set of notes that are similar to this. And it's actually, if you look under our, in the O'Reilly books that we have, if you look for the quick reference or command guide reference, they do this with this, but I like to make my own because it helps you remember better. But I'll put a heading like this. I'll say set enable secret password. And then I'll put the command in here and I'll go, it's router, and that's, config pound, and I'll do enable secret. And then I use my own, anything in brackets for me means that's a variable. So now I've got that in my notes and I know where it's at, and I know what kind of, what particular mode it's in. Configuring console line. Now, what I like to do with this is I actually like to start it out by actually going through the process of getting to the line config. So I know we start here. Everything starts here. So we're going to line console 0. And then I'll do router config dash line pound. And we set our password. And then whatever we want it to be, which we typically make it Cisco. And then I'll, router config. And one of the things I learned is as I type these in like this, and I'm forcing myself to put this in, I will begin to remember how to do this. And that just to me helps, setting an IP address. And go router, router config. And it is aggravating, but this will help your students too greatly. If you'll make them do this, and then they will learn exactly what sub configuration modes to be in. And I cannot type it. And then you do X. X, and this is your mask. And then, that tells you, and then of course, one of the things I put here, just so that people won't forget, because they always do forget, especially on a router, I would put the no shutdown command here. And then what you're doing is you're creating yourself a series of little blocks of the commands that you will need to do your configurations. And then you've got this in a little notebook and you can go from there. So, it's, to me, it really helps, set the host name. We just do router.
Yeah, that was the common one that I kept on forgetting, was the no shutdown. But the practice, the inline practice within the modules did help, because it keeps on, it doesn't tell you what the problem is, but it keeps on saying you didn't enter something correctly.
Right.
So that kept on helping me to go back and remember I didn't include the no shutdown.
Definitely. And also don't forget, one of my favorite commands of all time is the show IP interface brief.
Yes.
And that will always show you whether or not they're up, down. Yeah. By the way, one of the things, let me pull up Packet Tracer. I want to show you something real quick. I know I went over it, but I want to make sure that you're clear on it, because one of the things that is important is on a router interface when it's out here, and I'm going to bring a switch out too. So let's grab a switch here. All right. So we've got a router that's booting. Take it a few seconds. Come on now. Still much faster than the real router. I will say I got some of the new, I got a new 1000 series switch sitting here on my desk, and it booted extremely quickly for a switch. All right, so we're in the router here. So let's go ahead and do, we'll get privileged exec mode. Let's do a show IP int brief. and you'll notice it's down, down. Well, this is layer 1 and layer 2. So one of the things is also administratively down, which tells you it's been shut down. But one of the things you want to remember is you want to remember that if you're ever troubleshooting an interface, and on that interface, obviously it says administratively down, that means it is shut down. So let's go in and fix that real quickly. Let's do a config T, and let's do int G 0, 0, oops, 0, so 0, 0. Let's do a no shut. You'll see it come up here on our interface. Okay. And you'll see now if I do a do show IP int brief, you'll see it's up, up. So this is layer 1. So that means there's connectivity going on. This is layer 2. So we've got a carrier sense. In other words, something's plugged in. We got a green blinky light, and the layer 2 protocol is up. You don't see this much on Ethernet interfaces, but when we used to deal a lot with serial interfaces, you could sometimes get a status of up, down, which meant the layer 2 protocols didn't match. So maybe one side was PPP, one side was HDLC, 2 protocols you haven't learned about yet. We'll talk a little bit about when we get to CCNA 3. But you will never see a down, up status on an interface because you must have layer 1 connectivity. You must have a carrier sense first before you can have layer 2 come up. So that's something important for you to look at. You also notice I can have an interface that's up and have no IP address assigned to it. So it is possible for an interface to be up, but the IP address not to be on it. So you've got layer 1, layer 2 connectivity, but layer 3 is not configured yet. So just be aware of that as one thing. But I cannot say enough how this helped me when I was studying to create my own little booklet of commands that of all the things I need to do. And eventually you'll get to where it's second nature and you don't need it. But it's really helpful to begin with to get started. You know, I'll do something like this. I'll say configuring SVI on switch. You'll go here and you go switch, config, the interface, VLAN, and then this is actually a variable. So switch config dash if and pound. You need to do IP address. Yeah, and do the exact same thing I did above. X at X at X. Oops. So some IP address, some mask. Okay. And then I would still do for the switch, even though technically you don't have to do this most of the time. I still do this. I still do a no shut on my SVIs, just because to make sure it's not shut down. Now we know that on a switch, typically all the interfaces are up, so we don't normally have to do that, but I usually do it anyway, just as a matter of habit. So, you know, if you notice here, if I go into the switch, I do a show IP interface brief. By default, if they're plugged in. If they're plugged in, they will be turned on. So you see here, it's automatically up. But you'll notice that VLAN 1 is administratively down. So you need to bring it up when you put an IP address on it. People forget that, and that bites them a bunch of times on their switches. But you'll notice here too, if I put PCs out here, grab a PC. Let's pull a couple PCs out. Connect them. As we do this, you will see that the ports themselves do not have to be brought up. They do not have to be given the no shutdown command, because by default, all ports on a switch are enabled. So when you plug a cable in it, you'll get up. You'll get your carrier sense, and you'll get your layer 1, layer 2 connectivity. But yeah, that would help you a lot, Steve, if you'll do this.
Okay, because I went through the exercises, and the exercises is good for that exercise, and then of course you move on to the next one. And right. I didn't do, I've always done you never learn until you've been through it 3 times. Exactly. The first one you go, huh? The second one you go, oh, I've seen that before. And the third one is, oh, he's serious.
Yeah.
And it kind of glues, and I never hit that third cycle.
Right.
So as I'm going through it, I was muddling,
right,
and kind of got wrapped up.
Well, and I'll also say, you say 3 times. I say it's about the 10th to 15th time you configured some routers and switches that things start to kind of hit. The good news is one of the very first things we do in the next class is we start with configuration of switches and VLAN configuration. So it's review to begin with. So that's a really good thing there. I do want to mention too, I sent an email out and no one's really responded, but asking if this group would mind moving to a Monday meeting at 3. And if that is a problem, then we won't do it. But if I could get both groups together, it would allow me to do a Monday meeting at 3 and then a Thursday meeting for labs. And then the Monday meeting will be recorded and the Thursday meeting, obviously. But if anyone is interested, they could come to those. So just let me know if that'll work for you. And again, if it's not going to work for this class, no problem. I'll keep doing a Tuesday meeting at 3. But if I could get them together, that would help too. So,
well, yeah. I just got to note to review now, and I have no issue with that, Kelly. I can support a Monday at 3.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm doing the cyber ops.
Okay.
Course, and it just happens also to be same time.
Oh, is it on Mondays or Thursdays?
Yeah, so far, unless if she changes, so far I think she put Monday is the meeting time around.
Okay. Well, if that's going to be a problem, then I'll since that's an overlap, I'll probably just keep ours on Tuesday then.
Yeah, so I don't know how many people are doing both classes. I know I'm right now, my time only allows to probably do one class, so I'll do the cyber ops maybe later on in the future. I might come back to do.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, I'll need to I have to put that on my thing to make sure I don't register you for CCNA 2.
Yeah,
and I think you were already only set up. Oh, I could wrong. I think you were already in my spreadsheet to do only one in the cyber ops.
Yeah.
What's Sibley?
Yeah, if you would just verify me, because I'm not even sure either, but I've received an email from someone other than you, but I know my session with you starts the 27th.
Yeah, Sibley, you are definitely, you are set up to be just CCNA 1 and cyber ops. So yeah, that's great. You're right. And so Steve, you're in all 3, so you would be starting with me. So,
okay,
so that won't affect that, and Dr. Nair, I hope if you do decide to come do CCNA 2 and 3 down the road, we do offer it every semester. So if you do the cyber ops for the fall and then decide in the spring you'd like to take CCNA 2, we do offer it. I don't know if it'll be free, but we're pretty cheap. So we try to do as best we can to keep it cheap.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it. I wish I had more time to really play around. It just happened that somehow I was overloaded.
Yeah, I understand. It's a lot of work. I know a lot of people got into the class, and I know it was a whole lot of work to begin with, but I do appreciate all the work you've done. And if you can get finished up with the CCNA 1 class, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm close. I just realized because I was going through, I really like to go through the modules. I think that's what took me time. I preferred going through the modules one at a time, right, and doing all the exercises. But I think that's where I spent a lot of time. But now I'm finishing up. I should finish up the exams probably tonight, the module exams. And then I don't know whether I'll finish all the labs in between. So, but I plan to still do some the hardware labs.
That's fine. You don't have to do every one of the labs. Like I said, as long as you're doing some of the labs, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I've done a lot on the packet tracer because I didn't have like continuous time. So I found out it helped just to do the packet tracer in the meantime, then get back to the hardware. So I plan to set aside time maybe at night and do some of the labs. And
okay, all right.
Kelly, I got an email from a gay Berryman.
Yep.
And he seems to think that I'm going to start with him on the 26th.
No, it's only if you signed up to do just CCNA 1 and cyber ops. Would you signed up to do all 4? So you will stay with us on CCNA 2.
Okay, so I don't need to say anything to
Nope.
him at all.
Nope, and it's a she, but the gay is in
Oh.
Texas. But yeah, it's not a problem at all. That's you're supposed to stay with us.
Okay.
So yeah, you're signed up. Hey, Merrick, you're signed up to stay with our with us to do the CCNA 2, and then we'll do CCNA 3, and then you will do CyberOps.
Okay.
Now, Merrick, you are actually signed up to do you just changed. You told me you're doing CCNA 1 and then CyberOps. So you will need to contact Gay and get set up to take the CyberOps class starting on the 26th.
Okay. So I can't take 1, 2, and CyberOps?
Yeah, you can if you want to. If you
Yeah,
want.
that's fine with me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, then I'll definitely put you on there. I'll
Okay.
get you in both then. Yes, no problem. I didn't know originally you were on just to do CCNA 1 and then CyberOps, but if you want to do 2 and 3 and CyberOps, yeah, definitely we'll get you in there.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Not a problem. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Okay, so I've changed that. So I will sign you up then for CCNA 2, which will start, official start date's the 27th. So, and we won't meet that day, but we'll get you registered in it, and I'll send an email out. Basically, you'll see a CCNA 2 class appear in your NetAcad when you log in and go to I'm Learning. And I'll send an email out that morning with the syllabus and the schedule and all. And you will get a new class in NetLabs. It will also be a CCNA 2 class.
Okay.
So you'll have access to 2 separate courses, and you'll be able to go from there. So, all right. Do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions about what's needed to finish up as far as finishing up the class? I know
No, I do not have questions at this time. If anything comes up before the end of the week, I'll email you.
Okay. And let me know too, the final exams and stay on for 7 days at a time. So if for some reason you go in and the final exam is not active for you, and that's the final written exam, the final hands-on, you can do in NetLabs anytime you want to do it. But the written, if for some reason you can't get it to work, email me and I will get it turned back on for you. But it should be on for the next 7 days because I just turned it on today.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any other questions on what we're doing? Because I don't have a whole lot planned for today. I went over that little suggestion for how to do some study. But
Yeah,
other than that, I don't have a great deal planned for today.
Yeah, that's my big thing. Yeah, it's just learning getting Ciscoized, so to speak.
It honestly, it's almost someone asked me many times. I said, well, what programming languages do you know? You know, I know a little bit of Python, but in many ways, the Cisco iOS is a programming language. I mean, you learn the syntax, you learn the way it works, you learn how to make the device do what you want to do. So it's important to kind of learn that. And it's funny you say Ciscoized, but yes, it is Ciscoized.
So, and this is all brand new for me anyway, because I have never played with Cisco up until now. All of mine has been the Microsoft side of playing with their server systems and all of that, and playing with the CompTIA stuff.
Right.
So for me, this was an out of my comfort zone new thing, but I'll tell you, I've enjoyed the hell out of this class.
I think if you've got a Linux background, it helps a lot with this class. You know, if you've got a Linux and a command line, it helps a whole bunch.
Yeah, I started off, that's what was coming back to me, because I got into networking system administration years ago using the command line under Unix. So you're forced to do the shell commands, kind of was coming back a little bit as I started working on it.
Well, the other thing, Kelly, you made the class entertaining as well as interesting.
Well, I hope so. Like I said, I hope it was entertaining. I wish, you know, I love in-person classes. I know it's not practical for us because of our distance and all, but I wish we were able to be in person at least part of the time. But you have to make the best of what we've got in this crazy world we're in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I just don't think it's going to get any less crazier now.
I don't know either, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording. Y'all have any more questions you think would be, you want to have for me?